The headlines of this hour on VTV News. Prime Minister pushes for swift action on key national railway projects. And Thủ Đức prison prepares for 2025 amnesty. In a world news, the UK and the US yet to reach tariff agreement.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trần with the top stories. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired the second meeting of the Steering Committee for Key Infrastructure Projects, focusing on national railway projects, and the meeting was held online with 9 provinces and cities involved. The Prime Minister called for swift and bold action in implementing key railway projects, including the North-South High-Speed Railway, which must start by 2026, and the Lào Cai-Hà Nội-Hải Phòng Railway planned for this year. Additionally, urban railway projects in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City must continue. The projects will be funded through multiple sources, such as the central government and local authorities, loans, bonds, and public-private partnerships. The Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Construction must submit legal drafts by April 30th for government review, with final decrees due in May. And the Prime Minister also called for local authorities to complete land clearance for the Lào Cai-Hà Nội-Hải Phòng project by September. And on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn met with former central leaders, heroic Vietnamese mothers, and leaders from Cần Thơ City and Hậu Giang Province on Saturday morning. The National Assembly Chairman emphasized the significant contributions made by the former leaders to the party's revolutionary cause and the nation's progress. The top legislator emphasized that the merger of Cần Thơ, Hậu Giang, and Sóc Trăng would create new development opportunities. And he also expressed hope that former leaders and senior officials would continue to support the central government's policy, contributing to the advancement of Cần Thơ into a more civilized and modern city. Now, during the ongoing 44th session on Saturday morning, the National Assembly Standing Committee discussed cases eligible for exemption or reduction in land use fees and rents under the provisions of the 2024 Land Law. And this includes reductions in land rents for 2025. The proposal outlines exemptions for land rents on projects involving key digital technology products, software, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence. It also covers digital technology hubs, national innovation centers, and research facilities of scientific and technological enterprises that meet specific conditions. The verification agency has agreed with the general principles outlined in the proposal. And the National Assembly Standing Committee then voted to approve the draft resolution on land use fees and rent exemptions, which will serve as the foundation for a government decree on this matter. Now, in other local news, Thủ Đức Prison, also known as Z30D, located in Bình Thuận Province, is believed to be the largest prison in the country, with approximately 10,000 inmates. And the prison has begun extensive preparations for the upcoming 2025 amnesty. More to follow.
Inmate Nhu Quỳnh was surprised to find herself on the list of those being considered for the upcoming amnesty at Thủ Đức Prison. Her consideration for release came not only through her own efforts, but also through a transparent process of evaluation and voting by fellow inmates.
The support and guidance of the prison officers have helped me realize my past mistakes. I am now dedicated to studying and self-reform in the hope of being granted clemency, returning to my family, and reintegrating into society soon.
This year, Thủ Đức Prison is reviewing and proposing amnesty for 294 inmates, including 16 foreign nationals.
When inmates request to return to a residence different from their registered address, local authorities have difficulty verifying these requests since inmates have not been physically present in those areas. We have requested permission from our superiors to contact inmates' relatives and local authorities directly for additional support.
Regarding preparations for inmates' reintegration into the community, we coordinate with the Binh Duan Provincial Police to issue personal IDs and organize reintegration training and legal education classes. We also hold educational programs to promote moral awareness, foster positive values, and build the confidence inmates need for reintegration.
Prison officers and staff are diligently working to resolve challenges and carry out the mission of the special amnesty. For 2025, amnesty conditions have changed to include inmates who have served at least 1/3 of their fixed-term prison sentences. The selection process will follow principles of democracy, objectivity, fairness, and transparency without discrimination.
Now on to economy and business. The U.S. 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs for most of its trade partners has prompted importers to increase purchases ahead of any new tariff policy announcements. However, amid economic uncertainty, Vietnamese businesses are proceeding with great caution.
As one of Vietnam's 5 largest coffee exporters, the company is closely monitoring market developments. Due to economic volatility, import partners are acting cautiously, and consequently, the company has maintained its current inventory levels.
We have to wait and see the U.S.'s upcoming policy, especially the outcome of trade negotiations between Vietnam and the U.S. regarding tariff policies.
While not Vietnam's largest market, the U.S. is a key destination for specialty coffee, particularly processed, value-added, and instant coffee products. Businesses are eagerly awaiting the upcoming trade negotiations between Vietnam and the U.S.
We have to wait and see the U.S. upcoming policy, especially the outcome of trade negotiations between Vietnam and the U.S. regarding tariff policies.
According to the Vietnam Coffee and Cocoa Association, global coffee prices have reached historic highs. This requires exporters to secure much more capital than in previous years for production and processing. As a result, most businesses remain cautious, avoiding increased coffee inventories while awaiting further market information.
Vietnam's coffee exports reached over 580,000 tons from January to April 15th, generating $3.3 billion, according to the General Department of Customs. And while export volume fell by 13.5% year-on-year, the value rose sharply by 46.8%. The Vietnam Coffee Cocoa Association reports that Robusta coffee is currently priced at $5,415 per ton. And the Ministry of Industry and Trade's Import-Export Department forecasts that continued short-term growth in coffee exports due to abundant domestic supply. However, longer-term prospects remain uncertain as supply may decrease toward the end of the harvest season. Brazil's upcoming harvest and global economic fluctuations may pose additional challenges. And in related news, despite preparing for challenges during the dry season, farmers have been unable to cope with this year's unpredictable weather. Prolonged heat in the Central Highlands has caused streams, lakes, and reservoirs to dry up. And if the water shortage persists, farmers risk losing their entire harvest.
Due to the prolonged heat, irrigation sources have been depleted, causing rice fields to dry up. Huat's family relies on 3 rice plots and over 1,000 coffee trees for their income. But the water shortage has caused all the plants to wither, leaving them without work or income.
The fields are completely dry, and eventually we won't have any rice to eat. We've been able to water the coffee trees twice, but now the reservoirs have also run out of water.
During their severe drought, many households have spent money drilling deeper wells but remain unable to find water. Families risk losing everything as their coffee gardens wilt, and production costs continue to rise.
The heat has been relentless. We've only been able to water twice this month, and even that wasn't enough. With the extreme drought, the wells are no longer effective. We've been watering all day but can only fill about 2 to 3 holes. According to reports, 15 out of 17 reservoirs have water levels below 50%. The Department of Agriculture and Environment, along with local authorities, has inspected and directed the hydropower reservoirs to regulate water flow.
In Dalai Province, more than 76 hectares of rice fields have sustained over 70% damage during the winter-spring crop season.
Coming up next on VTV News. Nội Bài Airport expected to handle nearly 110,000 passengers. And Vietnamese people filled with pride and emotion ahead of the 50th National Reunification Day. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, nearly 110,000 passengers are expected to pass through Nội Bài International Airport on April 29th, the final working day before the long holiday, marking April 30th and May 1st. And this date is anticipated to be the peak travel period for this year's holiday season, with traveler numbers showing a 25% increase compared to last year. And to manage congestion, the airport has installed biometric recognition through the VNEID system at 20 domestic flight check-in counters. Despite this convenience, passengers should arrive early and thoroughly check their documents and luggage to avoid delays or missed flights. The military parade rehearsal happened on Friday night, and it began at 7 p.m. on Lê Duẩn Street and some neighboring streets. And before the parade rehearsal, the celebratory performances were rehearsed, including gun dances, flag dances, and drum performances by 1,000 actors and students of the People's Police Academy of the Ministry of Public Security. Many central routes in District 1 were closed, and a traffic ban was implemented until 1 a.m. Saturday. After Friday, a state-level rehearsal is scheduled to take place on the morning of April 27. And over 12,000 people participated in the national-level rehearsal for the upcoming military parade celebrating the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification on Friday evening. And even under heavy rain, voices rang out proudly, honoring the great sacrifices of previous generations and cherishing today's hard-won peace. And this sentiment was shared by both locals and visitors in Ho Chi Minh City during these historic April days.
This national-level run-through was a key preparation for the official ceremony marking the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification. For many in Ho Chi Minh City, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event.
My family is very happy. Witnessing this today fills us with deep gratitude for those who sacrificed to protect our country.
Waiting for this moment for a whole month. Being here now, I feel so proud.
Unable to wait until evening, thousands of people had already lined the streets, eager to witness the parade formations of police, soldiers, and other forces in person.
My father was part of the Ho Chi Minh campaign, so I'm incredibly proud. Being here today in this atmosphere, I just want to say, I love you, Dad. Thank you so much.
It's so thrilling. I'm proud to be Vietnamese and proud to have served in the People's Army.
I feel so excited and emotional seeing the solemn, heroic image of our country.
Every soldier, officer, youth volunteer, child, and worker standing proudly in the ranks today carries a deep sense of honor. They bring their vibrant spirit and contribute significantly to the success of the upcoming ceremony.
The 50 representative literary and artistic works from Ho Chi Minh City, spanning 1975 to 2025, were officially announced on Friday. The event celebrates the exceptional contributions of the city's artists and writers over the past half-century. Notable honorees included iconic films Cánh Đồng Hoang or The Wasteland, and Ván Bài Lật Ngửa or Cards on the Table. Musical compositions such as Mùa Xuân trên thành phố Hồ Chí Minh or Spring in Ho Chi Minh City, and Đất Nước Trọn Niềm Vui or The Country is Full of Joy, and the theatrical production Tiếng Trống Mê Linh or The Drum of Mê Linh. This recognition helps promote the enduring values of literature and the arts in Ho Chi Minh City's contemporary life. The power of the people was one of the most crucial factors that paved the way to the historic victory of the Spring Offensive in 1975. Driven by patriotism and a longing for peace, ordinary citizens became soldiers in their own way. And among these everyday heroes was a southern woman known by the affectionate name Mother Sáu. Her hand-drawn map guided Regiment 27's advance into Saigon, making a significant contribution to the spring victory of 1975.
The two siblings have been waiting someone special, a person they met and posed with in a photo when they were just 14 and 16 years old. For these veterans, the first encounter with Mother Sáu Ngẫu on April the 29th, 50 years ago, remains as vivid as yesterday.
My team made our way along the edge of the forest late at night. We spotted a simple thatched house, so we signaled the Ho Chi Minh call. Moments later, a woman opened the door for us.
The liberation soldiers came to our house. They said they would head to the Lai Thieu outpost the next day. He showed a map, but Mom said she had her own and went into her room to get it.
The Army's map showed a route down National Highway 13 to Lai Thieu, across the Iron Bridge to Ba Chiu Market, then into Saigon.
Just before April 30th, Mom came back from the city and saw that the bridge has collapsed. She warned that they would all be trapped if they took that route.
Sáu Mother gave us a neat hand-drawn map. She pointed to the route and said she and two kids would ride with the tank and guide our liberation troops into Saigon. But I thanked her and said the kids were so young. Once we won, we would come back for you.
Mom told them to go straight instead. He left around 4 a.m. Hugh said they would be back the day after. And true to his word, he came back on May 1st.
Like many other stories of heroic Southern mothers, Mother Sau's contribution, a hand-drawn map that helped bring about a swift victory with fewer casualties, who continue to live on in the hearts of the Vietnamese people.
The resistance war against the U.S. achieved a resounding victory 50 years ago, thanks to pivotal turning points both on the battlefield and in diplomatic arenas. The Truth National Political Publishing House has reissued the memoir Family, Friends and Country by former Vice President Nguyễn Thị Bình. And through its pages, readers are invited to revisit defining moments in the nation's history, as well as the reflections of a woman who devoted her life to the revolutionary cause, to family bonds, and to her homeland.
Madam, in your view, what does it truly mean to end a war?
It means they must genuinely desire to stop the fighting. And to do so, they must withdraw all their troops from South Vietnam.
Excerpt from a debate titled Vietnam, a media event held on the sidelines of the Paris conference, featuring Madame Nguyễn Thị Bình and around 20 prominent international journalists. At the time, the Western press likened her to the beauty dancing among wolves in what became the longest diplomatic negotiation in history. Madame Nguyễn Thị Bình was 40 years old then, a mother of two, though she rarely had the chance to be near her children.
At the Paris conference, I heard that the U.S. was bombing provinces in the north, including the one where my children were living. But I knew that, no matter the circumstances, I had to restrain my emotions to carry on with my duty.
Family, Friends and Country is a memoir that recounts the memories, trials, and deeply felt emotions throughout the life of its author.
The memoir introduces us to a truly extraordinary figure, yet one who remains humble and approachable, embodying the finest qualities of the Vietnamese people.
Reprinted in early April, the book has seen tens of thousands of copies, distributed in over just 3 weeks. It has continuously drawn strong interest from readers, quickly becoming a publishing phenomenon during this historic April.
The memoir introduces us to a truly extraordinary figure, yet one who remains humble and approachable, embodying the finest qualities of the Vietnamese people.
At 98 years old, within 8 years of party membership, she stands as a shining example of patriotism, always placing the nation and the people above all else.
The nation is everything. It is peace, it is independence, and everything must serve that goal.
The memoir, Family, Friends and Country, is not only a memoir of the defining moments in the remarkable life of a pioneering female diplomat, it also carries enduring meaning for the present and the future of the nation.
Coming up next in our world news. The UK and the US yet to reach tariff agreement. In India and Pakistan, tensions rise over Kashmir attack. Now moving on to our world news, UK Finance Minister Rachel Reeves left empty-handed after talks with US counterpart Scott Bessent due to the Trump administration's new demands on UK automotive tariffs. The two sides reached an impasse when the US demanded reductions in tariffs on cars imported into the UK. And after US President Donald Trump announced new global tariffs in early April this year, the UK sought negotiations to reduce US tariffs on British goods, including a 10% baseline tariff on all goods and a 25% tariff on British cars and steel. While these talks have failed to yield positive results, Washington is now asking London to reduce its 10% tariff on US cars to 2.5%. Tensions between India and Pakistan remain high after a terrorist attack in Indian-administered Kashmir killed 26 people earlier this week. The United Nations has urged both countries to exercise maximum restraint. The UN Security Council has issued an official statement strongly condemning the attack, calling for accountability and international cooperation to bring the perpetrators to justice. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi announced on Friday that Iran is willing to mediate, offering to use its diplomatic influence in Islamabad and New Delhi to help build trust between India and Pakistan. In response to the incident, India has downgraded diplomatic relations with Pakistan and suspended the River Waters Agreement, citing Pakistan's alleged involvement. Pakistan has denied all Indian allegations and responded by closing its border, suspending bilateral trade and shutting its airspace to all Indian airlines. The Russian government is rolling out measures to encourage childbirth, including financial incentives and mortgage benefits, in a bid to boost the country's birth rate, which has fallen to a 25-year low. And starting this year, the one-off financial support for families having their first child has increased to 677,000 rubles, equivalent to $8,300. Families having a second child who haven't received previous support can receive 894,000 rubles, roughly $11,000. Families with children can also benefit from lower mortgage loan interest rates of 6% compared to the standard rate. Companies are encouraged to offer flexible working hours to young families. And according to data from 2022, Russian women gave birth to an average of 1.42 children, much lower than the 2.1 children needed to prevent population decline. The global green transition is an irreversible trend, and around the world, nations have been seeking solutions tailored to their development. A renewable energy project in France offers a compelling example of a unique cooperative model, citizen investment, expert guidance, and government support. And this is seen as a promising formula for a just energy transition.
Towering nearly 180 meters, the wind turbines of the Filleul wind farm stand tall in Ille-et-Vilaine, Brittany, in northwest France. This project was initiated by local residents and took 15 years to bring to life.
The advantage of a citizen-led project is that those living nearby are also co-investors. They're fully informed throughout the process, and once the wind farm is operational, if any issues arise, like unexpected noise, there are clear points of contact and a shared interest in finding solutions, including adjusting operations during sensitive periods.
Set to be operational in May this year, the wind farm will generate 36 gigawatt-hours annually, supplying nearly half the electricity needs of the local community.
In this project, we took a 20% stake, contributing not just capital, but also skills and shared experience from similar wind farms.
France has 16 operational citizen-funded wind farms. The French Agency for Ecological Transition says although these projects generate stable revenue, profit is rarely the main motivation. Instead, they bring a wide range of benefits, job creation, skill development, and clean, locally sourced energy for the community.
And as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTV Go or check out our YouTube channel VTV for Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.